Okay, this is my third time trying to go live. I think I actually did it. So the last time I tried to do the live, well, I thought I was recording and it cut off and I had already done half of the scarf. So that was very disheartening. So where it cut off was me just showing you the bubble wrap and laying that out. So what I did was I added some painter's plastic on top of my bubble wrap, and that's just to protect my fibers from the bubble wrap, because it could give it some texture to it. The fibers can get in between the bubbles and the plastic, and so it kind of creates like an indentation. So that's what this plastic is for. And so I basically did half of the scarf, which is good because now it cuts down on time to show you. So this is the color that I chose. I think I went over that in the last one if I remember correctly. But yeah, so I'm just going to show you how I'm laying out the fibers for this particular scarf. And every scarf is kind of different for me, how I lay out my fibers. But the traditional way of laying out the fibers is going in one direction and then going in the opposite direction. So going horizontal and then perpendicular. In this one, I'm going to go or horizontal and vertical. Sorry. So this one, I'm just going to go straight down. And then I'm going to add my fibers going this way in the same color and in my accent colors, which you can kind of see here. I'll pull this down. You can kind of see the colors that I was working with. What my goal for this is I want the ends to have like a fringe to them. So the ends are just going to be like cut up afterwards, and then you have like the rest of the scarf. So that's what we're going to do. Let's see. What do I want to say before I begin? Yeah, so we're going to go this way. Now you're going to see, you're going to still see your bubble wrap and the plastic underneath. That's how like thin you want it. You don't want it too thin where it's like completely see-through, but you want it thin enough because you don't want like a bulky, unless you do want a really bulky stiff sweater or scarf. But we're going for this one a very flowy, lightweight scarf. So we're gonna do we're gonna lay out the fibers thinly, and then we're going to go back, and the goal with going back is we're going to add some more of that purple for coverage, but we're not going to go throughout, and we're not going to go in a row like we were going in this direction. We're just going to go and we're going to fill in some of the purple, and then I'm going to add some accent colors. So the whole scarf is going to be covered in fibers. So we'll have that covered, but I'll show you. I'll just start beginning. Pull this down a bit. So the end of my scarf, which is on over here, I'm going to leave about, I'd say about 6, 7, maybe 8 inches, who knows, for the fringe. And then from this point to over here is going to be more decorative, add my embellishments and everything like that. On this side, I'm going to add more of just some just regular fibers down on this end because we're going to be cutting that up. So let's just start. So I have my roving here. And what I'm doing is, you can see this roving kind of has 3 parts. So here's one part, and if you kind of pull this, like this, it has, you could split that into 2 parts. And the reason why I'm doing that is because my hand is only so big. So when I'm going to be drafting my fibers like this, my hand only can cup so much. So if you can see that, my hand can only cover so much of that. Now, if this was wider, I'd only be pulling from the center here, and then what you would end up with is having your roving being uneven, and that's just a pain in the butt to work with. So I split my my roving in half, or actually into 3/4, and then I am going to start drafting. Now, if you are very, very new to felting, what you're going to do is you're going to place your hand like this, and you're going to cup just the very tips of, I don't know if you can see that, just the very tips right here of your fiber. Now, you want your hand to come down further, because if your hand is up here closer to your hand that's holding onto the fiber up here, you're not going to be able to pull out any of the fiber, because the length of the fiber is in this hand. So you're just going to be pulling and pulling and pulling. You're not going to be able to pull it because it's in this hand. It's being held by this hand. So I hope that makes sense. So you want your hand further down, and you're just going to pull up. And this is about how thick I've been pulling them. I don't know if you can see that. You can go a little bit thicker, but that's about as thick as I've been pulling them. And what I'm doing, when you have your starting point, you have, this is the wispy end, and then the hand that pulled out the fiber, this is the blunt end. So usually you start when you're laying out your fiber. Let's just say this is where I'm starting, and I'm going to lay down my fiber. Usually you want the blunt end. Here, I'll move it down just a little bit so you can see more. You want the blunt end on this side, and then you want the wispy end on this side. Right? So when I get to the end of this scarf, I'm going to flip this around. So the blunt end is over here. Right now, as I'm pulling, where's my roving? Right now, as I'm pulling, I'm just laying the wispy end this way. If you've already started, you're just going to go in a row. Just like that. Now, when you start your second row, you want to overlap the fibers. So now I'm starting my second row. I'm going to place, and actually just for visual purposes, I'll show you with a different color. So this is my next row. I'm starting my next, well, you can't, can you see that? Let's see, I'll start it from over here. This is my next row. I'm going to start my next row. You want these fibers here to overlap this fiber here. So I'm going to place it, and it's going to overlap that side. And then I'm just going to keep placing it, making sure that I'm overlapping the previous layer that I placed down. So I'm just going along, overlapping. Right up to the end there. I'm just gonna keep on going. Sorry if I start singing. Keep on going. This is my creative space. I can do what I want, right? If I want to sing, I can sing. Okay, let's keep going here. Move my ball. Now this is a little bit wide for me, so I'm going to just cut this right in half. And I'm just going to keep going. So as I'm pulling, I'm moving my hand further down. Every time I take a pull, I'm moving my hand further down the roping. Okay. Next row. Again, overlapping the fibers from the previous row. I'm just going to place that random one right there. Okay. Sorry about the quality of the video. Because I don't have 1,000 subscribers, I actually can't go live from YouTube itself. I have to download a third-party app, which I'm very thankful of because I'm actually able to go live, but just not through YouTube. So I'm going through a third-party app, and the quality of the video is not the absolute greatest, but I'm not going to complain because I'm just happy that I can actually do this. So you'll see here, like I have right here, there is just, you can see through. Like I said before, we're going to go back this way in this direction. So those spots are going to be covered by more merino and then embellishments as well. Now, some of the harder embellishments that we're going to be using is the sari silk, and that is a little bit harder to felt. So what we're going to do is we'll start the felting process, and in between our rolls, when we unroll it, we're going to see how well it is felting, and if it needs extra help with adding a little bit more of the merino on top of the silk yarn. And if that's the case, then we'll just add some more merino on top of that. All right, so I'm getting towards the end here. Just scoot that down just a little bit so you can see. So I'm going to put the blunt side, like I think I just did. Okay. Making sure the blunt side is on that end. Okay. Alrighty. So we have our first layer of that. Now we're going to go back. Let's see. Is my hand in the screen? Okay, good. So now we're going to go back and we're going to go in this direction. I'm going to place the blunt side here so we got a nice straight edge there. And I'm just going to randomly place this. I want to leave some gaps, like I didn't place one here or here or here, because I'm going to add some of the other colors in between. And I don't want the scarf to get too bulky with the merino. I want to add some embellishments, so I don't want it to be too bulky. And if you have any questions, let me know. I hope you're felting along with me. Okay, so I'm going pretty much in this direction, but I'm going to be switching it up a little bit, and I'm going to be adding some of my accent colors to the mix. And I am not going to be laying them in just this direction. I'm going to be laying them how I so choose. So like this. Maybe I'll go this way. Just kind of placing them however I want. Just putting them random places. Just gradually going to be working my way down. Okay. This is pretty. And add some of this color. Look at that. Pretty, pretty, pretty color. Okay. Add some teal, maybe some more of this burnt orange here. That's a pretty color. Add some teal. And I'm going back and I'm making sure that I don't have any spots that are completely see-through. That's where you want to kind of pat down a little bit, use your hand to see and feel if you have thinner spots. Okay, I think I'm well covered. I just want to add some more color to this. Okay, so I'm going to add some of my embellishments now. I have this pretty bamboo here. Super, super pretty. So I'm going to add some of that throughout. And I also have tinsel in this color too. Okay, I'm going to add, I've been adding this really pretty hand spun art yarn. And I've been adding it as like a side fringe. So I'm just going to place that along here too. And some on the other side. One right here. Missed that. That's a long one. Let me cut that a little bit. That's a pretty one. Look at that. That's so pretty. Okay, place that there. I'm going to put that up. Okay. Now what I'm going to be felting, I don't want these to come on top of this because then it'll just felt down. So I'm going to probably add a plastic on top so that this is protected. And that's, the plastic is a resist. So resist basically is a piece of plastic that is between the fibers that you want to be felted and the fibers that you don't want to be felted. So I'm going to have the fibers that I want to be felted here and then place my plastic and then put this on top of the plastic so it will not felt to these fibers. I hope that makes sense. Okay. Let's see, what do I want to add? How about some of this really, no, you know what? I want to do some of the yarn first. So this is the one that I'm most concerned about. This is the sari silk that I'm most concerned about because it is a thicker yarn or silk. Actually, this one right here is super thick. Cut that one. Okay. So I'm just going to randomly place it, and I want to make sure that I'm trying to avoid the bamboo. Just add a little bit down here. I'm gonna fold this over, and I gotta pull. Pull this down a bit so you can see. Just give me 1 second. I think I pulled it down too far. Okay, so I'm going to work on right here just so I can get to this section over here so you can see me. And I'll do this part really quick because I know you can't really see me very well over here. Actually, you can't see me at all. Maybe I can move the camera a bit so you can see what I'm working on. add some tensile over here. Pretty this is. Ugh, those colors are so pretty. Okay. Add some okay. Let's see. I don't know if I added any of this, but I'm gonna add some now. Okay, let's add, this is so pretty. Now I have a table behind me, so I'm reaching behind, grabbing some things. So that's why I'm in and out of the frame. So this is just some silk hanky that I'm stretching, pulling apart. And silk hanky is it loves to stick you. It just loves you. It won't let you go. So what I find helps with silk hankies, and silk for that matter, is putting lotion on. Making sure I always have a nail file. I have really dry hands from all the hand sanitizer that we've been consuming on our bodies the past 7-8 months. So my hands are very dry. I have hangnails. So having lotion close by, which I do, just can't find it right this second. Having lotion and I always have a nail file right in my stash over there of my tools. I'm gonna add, this is silk laps. So it's different than silk hankies. This is, I like this. When you pull it apart, it doesn't stick to you as much as silk hankies does. And the effect, oh gosh, it's just so pretty. I can't wait to start. I can't wait to see what this is gonna look like. Some sparkle. So this is Firestar, and it's super sparkly, and it's much softer than Angelina, so I like using that. To add some of this. So this one's bamboo, this one's tencel. This one has a little bit more of a sheen to it. I'm going to add a little bit more of this teal tencel out. Okay, I'm going to add some more yarn. So this scarf is just going to be like a Mod Podge of all different types of textures. And the reason why I'm doing a scarf like this is because I wanted to show you kind of all the different types of embellishments and what their textures are. So this is a sari silk. This is one as well, but it's a different. They look a little. This one's more matte, and this one has more of a sheen to it. This is probably like a habitite silk. This is a novelty yarn, but it has mohair in it, and it also has some, it looks like some sort of tinsel, some shine, some like sparkle in it. And then we have hand spun yarn on the tassels here. And then we have bamboo, we have tencel, we have silk laps, and we have silk hankies down here. And then we have some novelty yarns that you can just buy in the store. So I wanted to show you just an array of embellishments and what they look like once they're felted. So we're just gonna go and we're gonna lay it down. And I want to show you too how easy this is to do. Like, there's nothing to this. I'm literally laying pieces of fiber and yarns and embellishments down. The only thing that I will say is once you start the felting process, you're going to see how each one acts a little bit differently in how it's felting. Some are slower, some are more fast in their felting, and so you need to kind of be able to know when to slow down the felting process if one of your embellishments isn't felting as fast as the others. So let's add some of this pretty fire star here. I love fire star, like I said, because it is soft to the touch, but it has such a pretty, it's just as sparkly as Angelina, and Angelina is really rough, really rough on the skin. And I think I just used up all my orange for the fire star. So I don't know if I have any more in the back of my stash back there, but we'll find out. So I'm going to keep working along, and I think I'm going to add some more texture by adding some more art spun yarn. I'm just going to add a little bit more here. There we go. Now I can really place this probably pretty much anywhere because this is 100%. Probably it's an animal fiber. I'm not quite sure. Actually, let me look on the tag. So this one is merino, Romney, and has some Angelina in it and some purple sequins. So animal fiber, it'll felt. So I don't have to be too particular as to what how I'm placing that one down. Let's see. I think I want to add a little bit more of the silk here, the yellow silk. Let's see, where's the end? That's always the fun part of using yarns, right? Finding the ends, because they seem to always elude us. Okay, well, here's one end. I found an end. Okay. Like I said, if you're just coming in, my back is turned because I have a table behind me that has all of my fibers because I can't place them on here, so I have all my supplies behind me. So this one, I want to make sure that I can place it on top of the merino itself. Now, I can place it over this, and I might have to come back once we start felting, and I might have to reinforce it with some merino. But for right now, I'm just going to make a pathway, making sure I'm placing it on the merino itself and not on all these other embellishments. Now I can place it on top of here because it's an animal fiber, but I'm not quite sure how. Okay. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to ball this up just for a second. I'm going to place, now this is what you can do. If you want to go back in this direction, which is what I want to do, I'm just going to add a little bit of merino on top of the other yarn that I have placed down. So placing that down, now where do I want to go? I think I want to go back this way. There. And I'm going to place it right here. I'll move that tinsel over just a bit. Okay, so now this is on top of merino because this will not stick to this novelty yarn. You have to have merino on top of that. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below and I'll try to answer them. So I'm just going to keep going along. All right, now I'm going to add some more of the purple. So I'm just going along. And I'm just going to make sure as I'm placing my fibers that there's going to be no holes because unlike the one that I showed in the beginning of this video, unlike this one has that like cobweb. You can see there's holes throughout it. I don't want that too much of an effect on this one. So when I get towards the end here, I'm going to leave about, I'd say probably about 7 to 8 inches where I'm going to have my tassels for the bottom of the yarn, from the bottom of the scarf. Now I'm going to come back with my accent merino colors, and I'm gonna make sure that I'm gonna try to cover up these these spots that are covered as well, where we kind of left some room to add some more of these colors here. So I'm gonna add some of this pretty. It's almost like a coral color, but it reminds me of like the leaves changing in fall. Gotta say, it is hot right now down here. I'm dying right now. Take my shoes off, maybe that'll help. Okay, so there was like a little hole right here, like not a hole, but it was gotta get covered. This way. And so see how I'm placing these kind of like randomly. They're not going this way or this way. They're just kind of being placed, and that's fine. As long as you have your base layer on, which is the one that we went this direction. And now we're going to be just making sure we cover the whole rest of the scarf, the second layer, in whatever direction it is that you're placing your fibers. Just as long as it's being covered, that's good. So I'm just kind of going section by section as I'm decorating. Let's add some burnt orange. Oh no, oh, the lighter orange. So bring that pretty brightness to the scarf. Like a little swirling. Right here, what do you think? Okay, now I'm going to come back with my embellishments again. I think I'm going to start off with that bright yellow silk. The one that I never can find the end to. Well, let's add some of the silk laps. Now, a tip is when you're placing down your fibers or your embellishments or whatever it is that you want, it could be your fibers or your embellishments. If you want what you're placing down to pop, you want to put it against a color that will make it pop. Like if I place this on the orange, it's going to get kind of swallowed up in the orange, but if that's what you are going for, if you want it to be blended in with the same color, then that's what you would do. Or you could put it against the blue or this color here. So I think I'm going to put it right on directly to the purple, because I feel like that's the best one. So I'm just grabbing some of this yellow, the yellow yarn that I have, the Sari Silk. And like I said, this one is a little bit more difficult to felt. So I like putting it on in the beginning because I have more space. I don't have all my other yarns and all the Firestar and the bamboo to prevent this from adhering. So I'm gonna try to place this on first, so it's directly on top of the merino. There we go. And then I'm gonna come back with some of these cute little tassels that I'm creating on the side of my scarf. And this is just hand spun yarn. I'm gonna have that one. Let's go this way. Now, like I said, you're going to have to put that resist down, so this, or you're going to have to make sure that this is rolled up and not inside of your scarf as it's felting, because this will felt directly, and then you won't have any tassels. It'll just be completely on your scarf. Let's see. I see a little hole right here. Okay. Let's add. You know, I did kind of run out of that orange tencel. Or no, it was the orange Firestar. But look how pretty that is. I'm just going to keep showing you it because that's so pretty. And this is the tencel that I'm adding. It's super shiny and pretty and soft and just looks really good. So there's two ways that you can do this. You can pull it like you do with your roving and place it down. Let's see where we put it. Or you can pull it from the side like that and place it. Okay, let's add some of the novelty yarn, which is just yarn that you could buy in the store. So the novelty yarn, the one that I'm using today, this one kind of just has like a velvet texture on this side, and then it has these open weave fibers. So this is what's really going to felt, is this part here, and not so much this part. So you're going to have that really cool texture though in the end. So again, I want to make sure, because this is a novelty yarn, this is synthetic, this is not an animal fiber, this will not felt to, do I want to put it there? No, I'm going to put it right here. This will not felt to your silks, it won't felt to your tencel, your bamboo, any synthetic fiber, it won't felt too. So I'm just kind of making a pathway, making sure that this is being placed onto the merino and not onto the other embellishments. That's why I like to do but I get carried away. I add all the other things. That's silk. See, I'm just going to add some silk over here when I'm probably going to be adding some more yarns that need to be felted. Some of this. So, now, like I said, this one has mohair in it, so this will felt. You can make swirls and whatever you want to do. I'm going to come right back up here, make some swirls here, and come over here. Now, what we're going to, when we start felting, again, like I said, we're going to make sure that everything's felting good, and we're going to stop, and we might need to add some more merino on top just to make sure that everything is adhering good. Okay, let's see. Let's add some of this. And add some of this yarn here. And this is mohair, I think. No, what did I read? I can't remember what I read. Oh, merino and something else. Romney, that's what it was. So this will most likely felt, but if you have too much, like what I'm doing, because this is going to be very chunky, like that's why I didn't want to add too much of the merino on top, because we're adding so many other embellishments that it's going to definitely make up for the thin layer of merino that we added. This looks a little... Okay, I'm going to move the camera down a bit so you can see kind of a bigger gap here. Slightly move these down just a bit. Okay. And I'm just gonna carefully hold this up at the other end so I can show you. Can you see the other end now? I think you can. Okay, I think you can see it now. The end of the scarf. Okay, so let's go back with our merino. think this is where I ended. Did I end it here? Yeah, around here. And I'm just gonna, like I said, make sure I leave some gaps like here for the other accent colors. I hope everyone's day is going well today. Okay, so probably about right here is where I'm going to stop with my embellishments, and then from here to the end I'm going to have my tassels. So from here to here I'm not going to add any yarns to this. I can add some tinsel and bamboo if I want to, but I'm not going to add any embellish or any yarns to that, just because I'm going to be cutting it and then it'll just be a waste of the embellishment. All right, so I'm just going to make sure that this whole section here is kind of covered pretty good, my end part. And when I'm doing the edges here, I'm just making sure that the blunt side is like facing here. So see, this is the wispy side. I can place it that way. It's just something I do. Makes it look a little bit cleaner, but you can always go ahead and make it cleaner by once you wet it and you add the soap, you can flip your plastic, press it like that, and now you have a clean edge. So I'm just going to keep going all the way across. If I can remember correctly, that's what I did to the other one, other side. And that's just like with anything you want a clean edge with. You can just use the plastic, or when you wet it, you can just kind of go back with your finger like that. I'm going to add some accent colors when I get down to this end. Okay, so I'm going to do probably to right here, like I said, and I'm going to add some more of my accent merino colors over here. Actually, I can go all the way down with the merino colors, so that's what I'm going to do since I'm using it right now. Let's add some of this pretty yellow. It's like a sunshine yellow. It's so pretty. I think that actually might be what that one's called, is sunshine. I don't know. Maybe it's yolk. I can't remember. I have some of them. I should probably have both yolk and sunshine. This brings me back to when I was a little girl and I used to play school, and I was the teacher, and I'd be talking to myself and kind of teaching just an invisible audience. That's what I feel like right now. Feel like I'm nuts. Wonder if my dog's down here. My dog's name is Wixby. When I thought I was recording the last video, the last live one that was cut short, I thought I was recording, and he was in that recording. Well, wasn't recording, but he was there. I wonder if he's down here. Oh, I just heard him breathe. Let me bring him out, just so you can see him. Hi, baby. Little kid down here. Yes. This is Wixby. Say hi to the camera. Say hi. Wixby, say hi. Look up. You can't see his ears. Maybe if I go down here. Oh, I just woke him up. He's very cute. He's a good boy. Okay, let's see. Let's add some of that paint, or that coral color. So this is another way to do your fibers too. Is if you're not looking for like coverage, you're just looking for adding some accent colors, pull it off to the side and then kind of spread it apart like that. See how it kind of, it's different from this. It just kind of gives it a bit of a different look to it. Like I said, if you have any questions, just leave them in the comment box and I can try to answer them live or answer them after. Oops, I didn't want that there. Okay. What do I want to add? Okay, I gotta see if I have any more of that orange tinsel. I don't think I do. I think I took it all out. Oh, you know what I didn't add? I didn't add any more of this. I have this really cool, this is, I believe this one's bamboo. It's like a neon, like, what's that? It's like a neon yellow, but it's a yellowish greenish brownish color. Let me put that one right here. Oh, and a little bit right here. Maybe a little bit on the edge here. And some right there. Okay. Let's add. I got to make sure that I'm putting this on. Make sure I'm putting this on my merino. here. Add it to, these are the tassels down here, and I want some of that other embellishments down there. Okay, let's add some. Okay, so let's, where am I? Right here. So I'm just going to add some of my yarn just to this section here. And then I'm going to come back with my tencel and my silks and stuff like that. So let's add some more of that yellow silk. Oh, you know what? I didn't do this for quite some time. There's just so much I want to add to this piece. Let me... I'm going to add it to this piece. I'm thinking because it's really thin, it will be okay there. And I also want some texture. It's okay if not everything is completely fixed onto. Okay. All right, now let's come back with the yellow. Where's the end? Oh, here's one end, I think. Nope, it's not an end. Oh, here's an end. Okay. Alright, so I'm gonna add some of this yellow. And this is thin enough that the merino is going to come up through. So it'll be alright if it lays on top of that. But if there was like tencel on top of that and then I laid this on, it wouldn't. I don't think it would do very well. Okay. Let's add some of just this pink novelty yarn that we have. Yarn that you can just get from the store. Just add a little bit of that. Add that here. And I'm making sure I'm not putting it on top of that. If I do, I'm going to add some silk. Oh, I guess I could put it this way. I was going to come back up around. But I can add a different, yeah, you know what, I'm going to add this one here to that. Okay, I'm gonna add my tassel to the side. Cut that. And I'm going to do that to the other side. Okay. I'm going to add some tinsel and some silks, some silk laps. Let's see, put some of that silk there. Add some of this silk hanky that I kind of pulled apart. Silk hanky again, it sticks to you like glue. It just loves you. That's its way of saying to you that it loves you. Okay, I'm gonna add some of this pretty teal tinsel now. And you know what? I think I'm gonna add a little bit to that silk hanky. So I'm just gonna add some merino on top. So a little bit, just to make sure that the tinsel sticks. And I think I'll put some right here. Okay, so I'm just gonna put this tinsel right in the center where I put that merino. And I'm gonna add some here. Maybe I'll put some right here too. And some going, let's see, some going this way. Okay. So now I'm just going to add to the bottom here, I'm going to add just some of the tinsel and bamboo and some silk, probably maybe a little bit of silk hanky. And this is just because this is going to be the tassels, and so I don't want to add any of the yarns to that. And I think I did a definition of, yes, okay. So on the opposite side, I put like a definition of where the tassels will be by making like silk hankies just going across this way. And I think that's what I'm going to do for this. I'm glad I remembered that. That could be the challenge if you don't finish your project, laying out your project, and you've already like rolled it up on one end because it's too long. It's like, oh, how did I do that other end? I can't remember. And then you have to, I know it's nothing, but you have to like pull it down and unroll that and just, it's laziness on my part, but. Alright, so let's add some, let's move this down here. Alright, let's make that definition. So, I put a definition. I don't remember what colors I used, so I'm just gonna use the ones that I have left, which are this blue, and what else did I use? I don't see any more. Oh, you know what it was? There's that orange. I wonder if I have any more. So then I did blue. Go this way. I'm going to see if I have any more of that orange silk laps. I think that's what I used. Oh, wait a minute, here's a little bit. Woohoo! Not much, but there's a little left. Okay. Okay, so I'm just going to make that definition. Of where the tassels are going to be. Okay, so let me put a little bit more of the tinsel on here, and then we're going to get to the actual wet felting part. So I might come back and do, because this obviously felting takes a while to do, and it actually takes a lot out of me. So I'm going to go as far as my body will let me go, and then I'll take a break and come back some other time to finish it. Unless I can do the whole thing, then I will, but I highly doubt it. Nevertheless, I'm going to add some of that silk kinky down here. Because why not? I'm going to add some more. I'm going to add some, you know, I never really added some of this raspberry. I'm going to add some of this raspberry because I do believe I have that in the other end. And I do remember muting like all these colors down. So once I laid down like all of this, I kind of muted it with some of that purple again. Just because I felt like it, I felt like this just looked too busy down here and you couldn't really make a clear distinction between the this section to that section. So I'm gonna add, oh, you know what, let me add some of that blue. Where did my blue tinsel go? Did I use all my blue tinsel? Really? Let's see if I have some more of that. Jeepers. Going through everything fast. Oh, right here. Okay. Add some of this. Well, I don't know what that is, but I'm adding it. I'm just going to add one more blue one, and then I'm going to add some of that purple. Where did I want that? Right here, I think. Okay, I'm going to add some more, just a little bit of the purple on top, just to kind of tone it down just a little bit. See, that kind of just tones the colors down just a bit. Do a little bit on that side. Okay. I gotta put something right there. Let me put this yellow piece of bamboo right here. Okay. And I'm just gonna put a little bit of merino on top of that because it is quite bright. Okay. All right, so now we're gonna start with wetting our piece down. Now, like I said, you can have your bowl and then your, where's all my other supplies? Oh, here it is. Okay. So I have my olive oil soap, which I'm going to use. I'll probably use just my olive oil soap just because my hands are really dry. And but you can use your Dove or whatever, Dawn, whatever you have. Put your water in this. This is going to be room temperature water. And then you'll fill it up. You're going to put your soap in. And when you take your hand out, you want sort of like a slip to your hand. That's how you know you have enough soap in there. And then you can take your little tool here, squeeze it, and pour it out. Now, the other thing that you can use is if you have a, let's see, one of these Tropicana, anything like a container like this, you can drill just like a few holes in here, add your water and your soap in there, and then just sprinkle it like that. This is free, whereas the other things are not. So this is free. You just drill some holes. You can even open this up and then just kind of place your hand over it and kind of sprinkle it like that if you don't own a drill, if you're a single woman and just don't have one. But I'm going to be using this. And so what I do instead of having the soap inside is I spray my whole piece down and then I add the soap directly on top. This just kind of, you push down like this, you pump it, and then you spray it. So that's what I'm going to use. Give you a second to, if you have your water and your soap, you can go ahead and do that. I'm going to get my stuff all situated. So for this, I'm going to use this. Now I usually use my screen. Sorry, my furnace just kicked on. I usually use my screen, which is right here. And I love using this because it's more dense. The fibers don't really come through it. So a netting, I just find the fibers just felt directly to the netting. It is very frustrating. But for this, just because I'm going to be doing this on YouTube and it's live, I'm going to use this because it covers the whole piece. So I'm going to start. Cover my piece. have to be perfect because you're just wetting this down. And you can wet your piece down before you even put this on top. Usually I don't use this netting here. I always just wet my piece down without even this on top. The purpose of having this is pretty much so your fibers stay in place and they kind of just protect your fibers. But I skip a step. I don't even use this, but for teaching you guys, I'm going to use it. I'm pumping my water now, and I'm just going to check the stream of it. Yeah, that's too hard. So, going the wrong way here. Okay. So I'm just wetting my piece down now. Like I said, this is room temperature water. So you might be saying, how much water do I need to use? And so once I put the water on, I press down, and you'll feel kind of like air pockets underneath, and that's just fibers that aren't completely wet. It hasn't been wet all the way through. So you're just going to press down. And you don't really want too much of like a pool. You don't want a pool around your hand when you press down. Like you don't want too much of a pool. Just like a little bit. If you add too much water, your fibers are going to just move around. But if you don't add enough water, then you can run the risk of it actually like getting like these pills, you know, like a sweater would get. So I'm just gonna keep wetting. Okay, let's add a little bit more down here. So I'm going to move the camera down just a bit so you can see me working from the end that I'm at. Okay, I think that should cover it. All right, and so now I'm just going to take my olive oil soap. And what you could do is if you're going to be using a bowl and you are using olive oil soap, you can do it like I'm doing it, or you can just take a cheese grater, get your soap to the cheese grater and start grating it, and then just take like a handful to a half of a handful of the soap and then put it inside your water, and then you'll have enough of the soap inside your water to use. But I like to just directly, my hands look so, I have black underneath my nails because I was dyeing yesterday, and I just didn't use gloves. I know, not good, but I didn't. So I get some on my hands, and then I also put it directly on top. And so I'm just putting it, and I'm pressing it down, and then I'm lifting it back up. So you don't want to, when you're doing this, you don't want to like be rubbing back and forth because your fibers are going to move, and then, you know, then it's just a mess. So you're just right in this moment, you're just pressing down. You're just pressing down your fibers. Your hands are soapy and your piece is soapy. So I'm just going all the way around, making sure that each part right here feels a little dry. I have more of an air pocket over here than I do here, so I'm just going to add some water. There on the ends too. Okay. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm so not used to using this netting, and I'm just a very impatient person. So I'm going to put my netting on top. That way I can rub back and forth. That's why I like using this, because it's thick enough that the fibers aren't going to move. Whereas like this curtain is just so thin, and netting is thin, and you know, so I like using this screen because I can get in there and start rubbing my piece down. Okay, so I'm just making sure that everything's just kind of, and that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do that throughout this piece. Okay, so I'm going to put the soap directly onto this because it's just so much easier and faster for me to do it this way. And all the fibers underneath are not moving, so I can go harder with my hand. Whereas if you are just using the screen, please just press down like this around where you're working, and then let me take this off so I can show you, if you don't have the screening, what I want you to do. Over here. Okay, so you press down the whole area, right? Now you're going to come back and you're just going to gently massage over the whole area. You don't want your hands to be going back and forth like this. You just want to kind of pulsate. You want to be able to feel those, the bubble wrap, the little bubbles underneath your hands, just kind of gently, almost vibrating underneath your hands. And you're just going to go across your whole piece just like that. So that's what you're going to do. Making sure I'm getting the edges. Okay, so I'm gonna come over here now, and I'm using my screening because it's just easier for me, faster for me. And I'm gonna put my soap directly on top. And if you don't have your soap like this, you can, if you don't have a bar, you would just take your Dawn and kind of go like this with your Dawn and use it that way. So, but I'm going to go all the way around. And like I said, I can do this more with a heavy hand with this screening on than I could with just the curtain or netting. So I'm just going to go around, and my phone is saying 20% battery. So I'm going to have to stop anyways very soon and charge my phone and then come back to this. And that's something that, you know, I didn't know you could do. I didn't know you could start the project and come back to it. you absolutely can. If I knew that in the beginning, oh my gosh, I would have been such a happy person. I always felt pressured that I had to finish the whole thing in one day. And those of you who have been felting for a little while know that it is just so hard to do that, especially if you have a medical condition or something like that, that prevents you from being able to do strenuous activities for a while. And for me, this is considered a strenuous activity. So I'm just going around my whole project doing that motion, but I'm doing it firmer and a little bit more aggressive because of this screening, whereas you will just be kind of massaging just very gently on your piece like this. And you don't want to go too hard because one, your fibers are going to be moving around, but two, you also don't want the fibers to be necessarily felting too fast because you have this, in this piece anyways, I have this thicker silk yarn here, and that's going to take a while to felt. So I'm using lukewarm water. I'm not using hot water, and my hand is gentle. And the reason why I can go harder on here is because this is thick. It's not the pressure that I'm using, and the aggressiveness that I'm using is a barrier because this plastic is thicker. So it's actually the same amount of pressure that you guys are using with just the netting here. It's just it just looks a little bit more aggressive, but it actually this thicker plastic makes it so my hand movements aren't going to be disrupting my fibers, nor is it going to be felting fast because it's not as much pressure as it looks because there is that thicker plastic in between. Okay. So like I just did right here, you probably wouldn't be doing that right now to this. Like, I would be afraid to do that to this because I wouldn't want my fibers to be moving. I'm like just gently gliding, whereas over here I'm like pressing down. So, yeah. Okay. So I'm just going to keep moving down the whole scarf. So now I'm going to come back to not using the screen just so I can kind of be with you guys and what you guys will be doing. I'm just going to wet this down just a little bit more. Okay. So I'm going to use my soap, and I'm just going to go going to go along the edges. Okay. Now I already went through a pass of this already, so I can kind of be a little bit more, put a little bit more pressure as I'm doing this and move them just a little bit more aggressively. Not much, but a little bit more. And I can feel the difference already over here. I can feel these fibers getting tighter. Them weaving in together with each other. Okay. Let's work over here. I'm going to add a little bit more of the soap down here. I'm just going to go in one direction. Because, see, I can move my hand back and forth on top of the soap, but I'm not going to move the soap back and forth like this. I can move my hand, but I'm not going to move the soap. Okay, so now I'm just slightly rubbing where that soap is. Okay, just very gently. You want to just be like gliding over your netting. Okay, so what you'll be doing is you'll do that to the whole scarf, and then what we're going to do is we're going to roll this whole piece up with our pool noodle. So what I'll do is I'll do that, I'll wet this whole piece down, and I'm going to charge my phone, and then I'll come back in about, let's say, an hour, and by that time my phone will be charged, and I would have wet down my whole piece and have gone through my whole piece by rubbing. And what you want to do is when you're done with that, actually I can do that when I come back live, but once you go throughout your whole piece, you're going to come and you're going to take your netting off and just make sure that the fibers are not felting to your netting if that's what you're using. So see, this is what it's starting to look like. Wet. Okay? And then also that way you can see if anything has moved. Just right here. Just by looking at this, I know I need to add a little bit of merino right here. Okay, so I'm going to place this back over. Keep going until my phone tells me otherwise. All right, because my piece is so long, now I have to start rolling up this side just so I can make room right now. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take up the bubble wrap here. And just kind of, this is just extra bubble wrap that I have hanging off the side of my table. So I'm just going to take it and I'm going to start rolling it up just to get it out of the way so I can start working on that other side. And I'm going to pull it down. Roll it up so I have room. Okay. I'm going to take the netting and I'm going to pull the netting back. And then I'm going to unroll this side. Okay. Now that I'm seeing what I did to this end of the fringe, I am gonna definitely need to add a little bit more to this side. Okay, let's, oops, sorry about that. See, you can kind of see this is a little bit more bare than what I used on the other side. So I'm just going to add a little bit more to, oh, you know what I used on that side? I used some of this. I wonder if I have any more of that. I don't think I do. Do I? Oh, I do. Well, I have something similar to it. I have some tinsel, yellow tinsel. Okay, so let's add a little bit of that because I had that to the other side and I don't want it to look too different. Okay. See, this is the line I was talking about, and I guess I had orange on this side, but that works. Okay, let's put the netting back over. And I think that's another reason why I don't like doing the netting, because you have to be so careful when you put it on. That like if it gets like folded over and you're moving it, then your fibers move, and I don't know. I just like using the screen because when I put it down, nothing moves, and it's not so large that you know, I have to put it over the whole piece at one time. I just am doing a section by section. And that actually helps me if I'm not feeling well or something like that. The rest of the piece isn't wet yet, and I'm just the piece that the section that I'm working on. Right, I don't think I wet this part down, so I'm just going to wet this. Like I said, I'm going to keep going until my phone tells me probably I'm at 10%. I don't know what I'm at right now. I can't see. I feel like you use more water too when you use netting, because you're not putting it like on top, like the netting soaks up a lot of the water because it has to get wet too. So I gotta fill my bottle up. So let's just press down. Wow, that's a lot of water. Okay. Oh, see, now it's going away because the fiber's soaking it all up now. Okay. See that pooling? Let's just press it down and get the fibers wet, because you'll start to see as I keep doing that, the water won't be so much once you keep wetting those fibers. See, look at the pooling isn't as much. It was so bad, but now the fibers are getting wet all the way through. So the water can be deceiving, you know, kind of when you're putting it on. You're like, oh, I think I have too much water. But if you kind of feel those air pockets underneath, then you know that the fiber isn't completely saturated in that water. So, okay. See, like I can see, this is silk underneath here. I can see that the silk isn't wet. And silk takes a longer time to absorb that water. Okay, so So I'm gonna, again, directly apply my soap onto my screening. If you're not using a screen on top, you would just, you know, get it on your hands, or if you have your ball razor and the soap and water in your bowl, you would just directly apply that. And then you're just gonna tap, press like this, all the way around your piece that's wet. And then when you come back, you'd come back and you'd just gently rub. Now, because I have this protection here with this screening, I am gonna go ahead and apply the soap a little bit. It looks a little bit more vigorous. And that's just because I am able to do that because I have that protection again with the screening. Whereas I cannot do this on top of just this. You would be, don't do it. Don't do it. So I'm just gonna press down on top of this all the way around. Now, if you're like, again, if you don't have the screening, just gently. This is how I'm doing it here. A little bit more force. Here, I'm just kind of gently doing it. And here I can kind of go like this and make big motions and stuff like that. I'm not pressing very hard, but I can make big motions, whereas here I can't do that. So here you just kind of want to gently, why is it so bright right there? Huh. It looks very bright on the screen, what I'm looking at. So I'm just going over the whole piece. And this, I just love the way this feels on my hands. I love when it gets to the point where it's like pre-felted, and pre-felted means it's just chat ended. Why does it say that? I wonder if my phone stopped. Well, I'm going to stop here. If it's still recording, I'm stopping here. Just because I don't know if it's still live. So I'm going to stop here and I'm going to charge my phone. I'll be back in a little while, probably about an hour. So if you were watching, or if you care to watch later on, I'll probably be back. I don't know what time it is right now, but I'll be back in about an hour. Thanks so much. I don't know how. Ow.